Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the Empire, going to be taking on the foul Beastmen, so let's get to the army compositions. I've got 2 units of Pistoliers over here, already opening up shots on some Centaurs with great weapons. 2 more Pistoliers over on the far side. We've got 2 units of Reichsguard, 1 on each flank, with a Zintler's Reichsguard in the center, supported by a Warrior Priest. We've got 1 unit of Flagellants, 4 Spearmen with shields, and of course the 2 Griffins up in the air. Boris Todbringer carrying White Cloak of Ulrich, Crush the Weak in Midland Runefang, and we've got the Amber Wizard here with Flock of Doom. We've got Pan's Pelt and Wissen's Wild Form, as well as a Power Stone and the Scroll of Scorch. So, for my opponent, he's got Centaurs with great weapons, Sons of Goros, 2 Chaos Poison Warhounds, front line of Vestigor Herd, second line of Ungor Spearman Herd with a couple of Gore Herds with shields. Solid choices all around. Brave Shaman, Lore of Death, he's got Fate of Yuna and Spirit Leech. Morgar, the Shadow Gave, of course, with his Spawn Summons, and the 2 Centaurs with Throwing Axes over here. Currently getting some really nice volleys into my Reichsguard. Picking off a couple of unit models there. My Reichsguard are going to notice the damage and flee away. Meanwhile, the Pistoliers over here doing a similar thing to these Centaurs with great weapons here. Just popping off shots, doing some good damage. And this is one of the reasons why I like Pistoliers so much in this matchup, as they can be an effective counter to Centaurs. They're going to get caught up a little bit here, but we're drawing them into a little bit of a trap. If you can see, we've got Boris the Amber Wizard coming on one side, Reichsguard and Zintler's Reichsguard with the Warrior Priest going to come and support everyone. So this Pistolier is going to turn and fight. They're probably going to lose quite a few, but it's all worth it for the Alpha Strike to try and get rid of as many of these Centaurs as possible. You can see all the Reichsguard come in, and then here comes the double Griffin. Flock of Doom gets unleashed as well, just to add a little bit more damage to everything here, and the Terror is going to quickly kick in, and a lot of those Beastmen units are going to get routed off. So one unit of Centaurs with great weapons even gets shattered there, so very good stuff for me. Meanwhile, on the far side, we're doing a similar thing with the Centaurs with Throwing Axes, trying to draw them into a trap so where the Reichsguard can get their paws on them. Done a pretty good job so far. It does look like they're trying to pull away there, but we did manage to get a little bit of that unit there. Meanwhile, we're just charging straight through into the Vestigors, since the Centaurs are routed off for the most part. You can see Warrior Priest unleashing that Hammer of Sigmar, and then the Double Griffin's going to be dropping down in this pocket as well. Once again, dropping a quick Terror Bomb and hoping to rout these units off. Of course, Beastmen are relatively weak to Terror, so you can see even like the Vestigor Herd and more will be terrified away relatively easily. Meanwhile, though, on the other side, my opponent is pushing through pretty hard, pathing after my Spearmen with shields pretty aggressively. This unit of Spearmen being mis-microed a little bit, but we did pull my Pistoliers back to a safe position. We're trying to pull the Reichsguard back as well, but a very nice Chaos Spawn Summon blocking up those Reichsguard. Also casts a Fate of Buna on these Reichsguard. Fate of Buna isn't as good against heavy cavalry as it used to be. A little bit of a traffic jam here in the back line, but Boris going to get back up in the air. The Amber Wizard's doing his job chasing off a lot of these routing units here, and the Spearmen with shields also going to follow up so that we can bring that Amber Wizard back at some point. Meanwhile, Pistoliers pulling up, popping off shots here into the flank of this engagement, I believe. Oh yeah, man, headshot there on that Gore Herd. But yeah, even the Vestigor will take a bit of damage from the Pistoliers. They did get an AP buff in the more recent patches, which is why you see them a little bit more often. Meanwhile, over on the far side, we had just caught a unit of Centaurs with Throwing Axes and then passed straight through, rear charging these Ungor Spearman Herd here, hoping to bring them off the battlefield, start to free up some resources over on the far side. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite look like they're going to rout from that. Meanwhile, though, I see that Morgar is starting to get a little bit isolated here, so we might be able to go ahead and Lord Snipe him with this huge contingent of Beastmen being zoned out more or less by the Spearmen here. We're going to go ahead and start to bring the Amber Wizard back, and Boris comes down to start getting on Morgar. And this is one of the best ways to deal with Morgar, is just to hit him in melee. He's not the tankiest character, only 45 melee defense, which really isn't the best for a character. Does have 400 weapon strength and the regeneration, of course, but only 15 armor as well, which means he'll take damage from pretty much anything as long as it can get through his melee defense there. You can see Beastmen have rallied to this pocket a little bit, inundating the Warrior Priest. We've got the Spawn and the Vestigor all wailing on him a little bit here, but Boris comes in as he's chasing Morgar into the herd here, so to speak, and the Amber Wizard here, Lore of Beasts, going to come through and start to drop some Flock of Doom and some additional terror. You can see the best score do get terrified away there. The Chaos Spawn summons go down, and at this point, poor Morker is going to get double teamed by 2 Griffins, and yeah, he gets routed off. With that, my opponent is going to admit defeat, probably a little bit prematurely. He still had quite a few units on the field, especially like this big group over here that was just hung up on some spears. But losing Morker was going to be a pretty decisive factor at the end of the day. Yeah, it would have been pretty rough for him to be able to come back from that, but still, I do think he quit out a little bit early there, but nevertheless, well played. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. I do like this double Griffin build against the Beastmen quite a bit, just because you can go really aggressively after Morker, and I mean, obviously, he's going to be the most competitive choice. If they don't bring Morker, then you can go aggressively after a Beast Lord on a Chariot, or against Malagor, I guess, if they decide to bring him, but overall, double Griffin, pretty effective. It also is just fun and thematic to bring Boris against the Beastmen, and I feel like the Lore of Beasts as well with the Amber Wizard up on the Griffin is just kind of fitting for that matchup as well. So, fun thematic matchup. I know the Reichsguard are not super thematic to Boris, but Reichsguard are just so good. And one of you guys had asked me in the comments in one of my recent videos, don't remember where, why we don't see like regular demis or Knights of the Blazing Sun. Actually, Knights of the Blazing Sun are pretty solid in this particular matchup just because they hard counter, well, they don't hard counter, but they help counter the Butchers of Kalkengard. But the main benefit to Knights of the Blazing Sun is they have fire damage. They also have a higher charge bonus, but they have less melee defense. So the reason I like to bring Reichsguard instead is because of that higher melee defense. They're a little bit better in sustained combat. I mean, granted, both are shock cavalry and should be used as such, but the Knights of the Blazing Sun are more of a pure shock cavalry, whereas the Reichsguard are a little bit more of a Swiss Army knife type cav, where they can sort of do anything relatively well. Pistoliers helped out in this engagement as well. Some of them even getting a few kills. 33 kills, not too bad on these guys. Of course, Boris and the Amber Wizard there doing quite well. Warrior Priest helping to support that cav engagement early on was really nice. And that's one of the good things about Pistoliers is they can kind of draw your opponent into an unfavorable situation. They think, oh, I can catch these guys with my Centaurs, when in fact they can, but they almost can't. So you can end up drawing them out, getting them into an unfavorable situation like I did there, and ended up being very beneficial. We were able to pretty much wipe out one unit of Centaurs with Great Opens completely. The Sons of Goros were also a complete non-factor as well. I mean, they did come back from routing. They didn't get shattered, but yeah, they weren't really a factor in the battle. Goreherds with shields, though, doing pretty well. Best Goreherd, a little less so considering the cost. But yeah, for the Beastmen here, I honestly think this heavy on the best score herd might be a bit too much. I would probably cut one of these guys down for the Koroks Man-Rippers, though, the Halberd Bestigor. They're going to be very good in this matchup at helping to drag down heavy cavalry. Likewise, let's just go ahead and start theory crafting a list here. So, not the biggest fan of Lore of Death as a counter to heavy cavalry. I think actually Lore of Shadows is going to be a bit better in that aspect. So, if we go to the custom battle screen here, and switch on over to the Beastie Boys. And yeah, Morgar the Shadowgave. Personally, I know a lot of you guys like Foe Seeker. The Vigor buff is nice, but if you're going to be bringing Lore of Wild, you don't necessarily need Foe Seeker, and it's just one of those things that I'll usually cut to cut costs. If we have the extra gold, I'll usually come back and grab it, but if not, let's see. Start going through the list here. So Koroks, Man-Rippers, and maybe one other unit of Vestigor, just in case we see some great swords or something. Even then, I'm not sure that that's necessarily worth it, so let's go ahead and cut him for now. Probably your best bet for dealing with heavy cavalry is Lore of Shadows, because that gives you access to Melkos and Enfeebling Foe. You can also take Occam's Penumbral Pendulum or Pit of Shades. The Penumbral Pendulum is probably a pretty solid choice, so we're going to grab that, and the Jagged Dagger for the extra magic recharge. Then we've got the Koroks Man-Rippers. We're also going to grab a few Ungor Spearmen Herd. Maybe the Regiment of Renown Ungor Spearmen Herd might not be a bad idea with their poison and good melee defense. We should also grab Goreherds with shields. They're pretty decent in this matchup, and of course they have the shields to help block the missiles of the Empire. Sons of Goros are a pretty good idea. Centaurs with throwing axe is also a pretty good idea my opponent had, so we're going to grab a few of them, and we've got about 1,000 points left. I'm tempted to just grab another Chaos Spawn, but maybe we should cut some things down here. So let's actually just cheap out these spears here, because I want to try and get some more powerful units. So let's see if we do that, and then maybe we cut down a couple of these Gore herds to Ungor herd, although for the cost, Ungor herd just trade pretty badly with state troops, so I'm really not the biggest fan. So maybe we'll just cut them entirely. The Eye of Moorsleep here can be potentially risky for Empire range units. Like, they can get on this guy, depending on the range units, like if they have like cannons and stuff, it can potentially be rough, although he's accurate enough that he can kind of counter skirmish with the cannons and do relatively well in that way. But the main reason you bring him is for the warp gaze, so that you can pin units in place, for example like a cycle charging griffin or something. Yeah. Honestly, I might just go cheaper on infantry here and try and win with some elite units. Butchers of Kalkengard are an amazing unit in general. They give you that fear and terror. They have 60 melee defense. Their biggest issue is that they're weak to fire damage, and the Empire can bring a lot of fire damage to the table, so they can be a potentially risky pick here. So if you wanted to do something like that, that might be decent, or else you could cut this guy down and just bring more infantry. But just kind of spitballing here. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below, though. What would you bring as the Beastmen against the Empire? You know, maybe you supplement with like a few of the pig herds or something. I don't know. There's a lot that you could do. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.